Welcome to Community Balance. I'm Jim Tu, your host, and tonight we are at the Walt Disney Family Museum at the Presidio in San Francisco, California. This museum is unique because it explores Walt Disney the person, not Walt Disney the corporation. So join me as we explore Walt Disney as seen through the eyes of those closest to him. Walt Disney was born on December 5th, 1901 in Chicago, Illinois, the fourth-born child of Elias and Flora Disney. At age 5, Disney and his family moved to a farm in Marceline, Missouri, a small town located on the Santa Fe train line between Kansas City and Fort Madison, Iowa. Marceline, seen through the eyes of a young Walt growing up during the turn of the century, would later serve as an inspiration for the Main Street USA lands at Disney's theme parks. As a child, Walt discovered a love of drawing and painting pictures for his neighbors and family. In 1911, Disney moved to Kansas City, Missouri, where he became enchanted by films. 6 years later, Walt returned to his birthplace of Chicago, where he became the cartoonist for his school's newspaper by day and took classes at the Art Institute by night. Walt dropped out of high school at age 16 to join the U.S. Army to fight in World War I, but he was rejected for being underage. After his rejection in 1918, Walt decided to join the American Ambulance Corps. However, by the time Walt arrived in France, the war was over. When Walt returned home to Kansas City after the war, he looked for work as an artist. While working as a commercial artist, Walt discovered the emerging medium of animation, and in 1920, he started his own animation company, Laugh-O-Gram Films, where his studio created cartoons that would become popular but did not generate enough funds to pay for the company's costs, driving the company bankrupt. After this failure in 1923, Walt decided to set up a new film studio in Hollywood and arrived in California with just $40 in his pocket. In Hollywood, Walt started Disney Studios, teaming up with his brother, Roy Disney. Walt provided the creative vision for the company, while Roy ensured that the studio had enough money to make Walt's dreams become reality. At first, the studio produced films that combined animation and live action called the Alice Comedies, about a girl who visited a cartoon studio and learns that cartoon characters being drawn come to life. Through the success of the Alice Comedies and the other films, Disney created and financed films featuring the studio's most recognizable and beloved character, Mickey Mouse. Walt's new studio broke new ground and made leaps in the field of animation. Steamboat Willie, the first cartoon to utilize both film and sound, featured Mickey Mouse and became a smashing success, gaining his new studio popularity. Walt himself provided Mickey's voice. Mickey became the world's most popular animated character, becoming the first animated character to ever earn a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And in 1935, he earned Walt a Special Academy Award for his creation. Mickey would prove to also be a financial success, earning over $600,000 a year in merchandise sales of dolls, lunchboxes, clocks, and even bicycles by 1934.
Hi-ho! Hi-ho!
In 1934, Walt Disney Studios went on to work on its first full-feature animation, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, based on the Brothers Grimm fairy tale. Disney risked nearly everything he had to finance the film, even mortgaging his own home to help finance the film, which went nearly 6 times over budget, costing over $1.5 million to produce. Walt's risk paid off, and the film became the 10th highest performer of all time at the box office in today's dollars, grossing over $1.7 billion after multiple re-releases. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs later inspired attractions at Disney theme parks and Disney television and media, and made it possible for Walt Disney Studios to create more animated films in the future. After the success of Snow White, Walt didn't just rest on his laurels. He went on to create even more groundbreaking pictures in the late 1930s and early 1940s, classic films such as Fantasia, Bambi, and Dumbo. Although Walt's films were generally praised by critics, they performed poorly at the box office due to a historical event that would change the world forever, World War II. Not only was there a fight overseas, but a fight at Disney Studios. Although Walt's animators were the highest paid in the industry and considered by themselves and Walt to be a big family, they struck due to the large differences in their paychecks as well as the way in which Disney distributed bonuses. The strike was against Walt and caused him great pain. To take his mind off the strike, Walt made a goodwill tour of South America and created ideas for films based on his trip. When Disney came back, tensions had eased and the 5-week strike had come to a close, resulting in Walt Disney Studios becoming unionized. After the war, Disney Studios continued to innovate and created their first live-action films such as 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and Treasure Island. But as this period came to a close, Walt's most ambitious project was yet to come.
Walt Disney's Disneyland.
Now, on a site of 240 acres near the city of Anaheim in Southern California, right about in here, we've begun to build Disneyland the place. We hope that it will be unlike anything else on this earth. A fair, amusement park, an exhibition, a city from the Arabian Nights, metropolis from the future. In fact, a place of hopes and dreams, facts and fancy, all in one. Now, next year, our television show will be coming from this Disneyland. But this year, we want you to see and share with us the experience of building this dream into a reality.
When Walt Disney took his daughters Sharon and Diane, who later went on to found this museum, to Griffith Park to ride the carousel, he dreamed of a place where both children and adults could have fun together as a family. As letters came into Disney Studios of children asking to visit the Walt Disney Studios and visit Mickey Mouse, Walt tasked his group of designers, who later became a creative team known as Walt Disney Imagineering, with the brainstorming of ideas for a new park. While the Imagineers worked to make Walt's dreams of a new park come true, Walt's brother, Roy, looked to secure funding for the park. The company was able to raise the money needed by signing with the ABC television network to produce a show about the creation of the park. The show not only helped raise the funding necessary for the park's creation, but also introduced the concept of a whole different type of amusement park to Americans. Walt's vision for this type of park, a theme park, was different from any other amusement park at the time. Behind me is a model of Disneyland. However, it is not a model of Disneyland at any particular period or time, but it's the Disneyland that Walt imagined his park would become. The park would open with 20 rides and 5 themed lands, each themed to a different time, period, or place. Guests entered through Main Street, USA, a turn-of-the-century small town based off of Walt's childhood memories of growing up in Marceline, Missouri. Adventureland allowed park guests to explore land based off the remote jungles of South America. Guests were taken back in time to the Wild West and Frontierland, or could be transported into the future in Tomorrowland, where concepts of the future were showcased. Or guests could explore the magical lands of Disney's animated films in Fantasyland, soaring with Dumbo the Flying Elephant, or going on a wild ride with Mr. Toad. The television series culminated on July 17, 1955 with a live television broadcast of the park opening hosted by Hollywood entertainers Ronald Reagan, Art Linkletter, and Bob Cummings. The park proved to become an enormous success, and more guests have passed through its turnstiles than any other amusement park in the world, over 650 million of them. Although Disneyland allowed Walt to experiment with new technologies, one of his final dreams was to create a city of the future. To do this, he set out to look for a massive property, scouring land across the United States until he found land in central Florida, near Orlando. Using dummy corporations to secretly purchase massive amounts of land, Disney was able to acquire 40 square miles of land. Walt purchased such a large amount of land so the park would be secluded from establishments such as hotels, which had sprung up around Disneyland. This land would first be used to create an East Coast version of Disneyland called the Magic Kingdom, which would be part of the Walt Disney World Resort, and then would be used for building his experimental prototype Community of Tomorrow, or Epcot. Walt envisioned Epcot citizens using monorails and people movers, concepts developed as rides for Disneyland as transportation throughout his city. In fact, his whole city was based off of a concept that Walt's designers utilized, designing Disneyland of a central hub with the spokes leading out of it to other areas. Walt never saw Epcot or the Magic Kingdom become completed. He passed away on December 5, 1966, after losing a battle with lung cancer, shocking the world. At Disneyland, there's a lamp above Walt's apartment, located above the fire station on Main Street, USA. The lamp burns eternally, representing the lasting influence that Walt had on history. It shows the power that a man with a dream can make. And with that, we thank you very much for joining us here on Community Balance. I'm Jim 2. See you next time.